This
Call this
conference
meeting
will
to
now be
order.
recorded.
Council meeting of Tuesday, September 12th. First, the mayor is not with us tonight. He had a little hiccup with his bicycle and is home nursing a couple of cracked ribs. So we'll just have to suffer through without him tonight. So first on the agenda is the invocation. The pastor we had assigned has come down with COVID. So Mr. Drake has been kind enough to lead us in the invocation.
Are we bound? Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for bringing town council together for this meeting. Guide all of us to make the right decisions for Surfside Beach and this beautiful town that we all live in. And thank you for letting everybody be able to come out. Amen.
Amen.
Now please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's what I want to say.
Now we will entertain any motions relating to the agenda. I would like to make a motion to eliminate item 7D, to have a discussion regarding the American Rescue Plan funds. We came upon some information that requires a little further research to really establish the parameters that we have to apply, to allocate and spend the funds, and whether we can do some of the alternatives we've identified. So we will postpone that until we can get the answer to some of those questions.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and just leave it on for discussion for tonight. I don't think at this time is a good time to take it off the agenda.
Any other comments?
Well, can we?
Okay, Sherry, you want to call the roll call?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Holder,
No.
Mr. Kinkin,
No.
Mr. Crackwell,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
No,
Mrs. Keating.
Yes. And so that motion has failed with a tie vote of 3-3. Next, do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the August 22nd regular council meeting?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to do the minutes meeting approval for the August the 22nd, 23 regular meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Sherry?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Crackwell,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
yes,
Mrs. Keating.
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is open for public comments relating to the items on the agenda. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to make their comments.
Good evening. My name is Anusha Shift and I live at 210 South Myrtle. Usually come to you when things are not going right. So tonight I'm here to tell you that the visitors are gone, and I had the opportunity to talk to many of them at the beach, at the park, while standing in the line for restaurants. And the feedback I received from everyone was how clean and safe this community is. It's not, they're not coming for the pier, they come because of how clean and safe it is. And we owe it to Chief Hoffman and Director Adair to keep it like that, We take it, we don't notice it because we live here and we see it every day, but people coming from other communities, they see how beautiful this place is. Just want to give you an update and report back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Harry Coleman, 10th Avenue North. I'm also chairman of the parking committee. I want to speak on ordinance number 23-0960.
under section 9 dash, under the second item down below, it says, under 6, annual guide, Daniel Surf Laws, Surf Dreams Foundation, monthly surf events, and the adaptive surf project event. Parking permits for free parking at all pay-to-park areas shall be issued to participants in such events. All other parking rules shall remain in effect and are subject to enforcement. Now, parking committee wasn't consulted about this at all, and I'm sure that it would have been unanimous about letting all these surf programs park for free. The only problem I see, and that's my opinion, I didn't ask anyone in the committee, is that it says all pay-to-park areas. Well, the mayor, council, and every citizen in this community, in this town, cannot park in all pay-to-park areas. You can't park in Fourth North, and you can't park in the pier without paying. Both those you have to pay. And also, in my opinion, it should be amended to say within 3 blocks of the event, 4 blocks of the event, but not all parking areas. You're having something at 16th North, and they can go and park at 13 South for free because they're Sun registered. I don't think that's really the intent of this. But once you put all, it just makes way too broad. Thank you.
Any others? Okay, moving on to the communications section. The first is the proclamation 23-1038. And this is a proclamation for establishing Constitution Week to be acknowledged by the town of Surfside Beach for September 17th through the 23rd. September 17th marks the 235th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States. It is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations that will commemorate the occasion. Public Law 915 guarantees issuing a yearly proclamation by the President of the United States designated September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. And therefore, Robert Hellyer, as the mayor, has the authority vested in him as the mayor of the town of Surfside Beach, will properly proclaim September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. Next on the agenda is an update of the pier project by Administrator Vincent.
Town Council, good evening. Just a few items to indicate. The punch list that was created a couple weeks ago is being updated and corrected. And an update to the town and to our engineers will be sent this week. The foam underneath the pier will be applied this week. Right now, for the last 7 days, they've been preparing the surface underneath the podium and the pier for the foam to be applied. The handrails continue to come in segments and will begin to be installed tomorrow. The monumental stairs, there's some corrections needed there on the handrails and the stairs themselves. There's also some corrections that need to be applied to the ADA ramp. The access gate was supposed to be installed the day of the hurricane, so that's 2 weeks out, should be installed next week. And then I hate to say this, but we did, back in July, talk about a number of milestones. One is the dedication of the pier in September, and one was a soft opening in October. Even though we just announced it about the soft opening on October the 12th, we will have to reschedule that due to circumstances. So, okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, on that, can I ask a question about the pier? You say punch list. The one, only what you gave us is a punch list that they are still working on, or are they more than just what we heard?
It's more than just what you heard. There's a number of,
Are they major things wrong?
there are not major things on that punch list. But the major things that I mentioned have to be corrected because they're code compliance corrections that need to be made.
So we keep, excuse me, I didn't mean talking, but do we keep adding to that punch list every week? Or do we seem to be?
The first punch list that was created, we handed it to consensus to correct. But then, once we do a compliance punch list, there may be other items.
Thanks, sir.
And what is the status of the final inspection on the safety systems in the elevator?
I believe those inspections were they not done this week?
I'm sorry. The elevator was completed this week. The fire system will be inspected September 18th.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, the next item is the administrator's report by Administrator Benson.
I wanted to report just some staffing levels. And I know throughout the 3.5 months that I've been there, we've had a lot of vacancies in our department. So I just want to report that the Planning, Building, and Zoning Department has recently hired some individuals for our planning technician and our building inspector. One came in last week and another one full-time this week. The Police Department has 2 conditional offers for 3 sworn positions and currently advertising for the 3rd. The Public Works Department has recently hired a CDL for the sanitation. One offer is pending. And there was 1 vacancy in the Fleet Division, and there's been an offer there as well. So the only 2 vacancies in the Public Works Department is the pier vacancies, which John will take care of next month. In the Finance Department has hired an accountant that started yesterday, and we will discuss the finance director in executive session today. And then there's 1 position outstanding that I'll need to come back before council, but that position is a combination of human resources, payroll, and county duties. Secondly, I sent you a report by Pivot Parking indicating revenues year-to-date by each lot. It indicates that the Yopon lot appears to be the highest generating lot, followed by 3rd North, 3rd South, 6th North, and 16th North. Total for all collections is approximately $418,000. The lot revenue from last year has increased 9%. And as mentioned in the Public Works report, the pier parking lot is anticipated to be completed Friday. There may be a week extension due to the hurricane and the rain that came in 2 weeks ago. So, but Pivot Parking is ready to install the signs and start generating revenue. That's all.
Any questions? Okay, next up is department reports. First on the list is Public Works. I don't see Director Adair. I assume the Administrator Vincent is on tap for this.
Mr. Adair is at another meeting with Horry County to request funding for the town of Surfside Beach regarding our road repaving. But as far as his report, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer, or I can email John.
Well, I think the report that was attached to the meeting minutes and for the audience benefit, the residential service sanitation delivered 36 Moby carts due to overflow of the rental properties. Sanitation supervisor responded to 71 calls. The summer rollout program will be in effect until September 9th. So, we should see that service cease as of now. Commercial service routes were updated based on business needs. Bulk and yard debris is still picked up every Monday throughout the town. Recycling, we had 22 new recycling carts were delivered per owner requests and overflow suggestions by sanitation. They have made requests to upsize the recycling carts to be the 65-gallon size. In July, we collected 741.88 tons of solid waste, 50.42 tons of mixed debris, 94.55 tons of yard debris, and 64.04 tons of recyclable. The hazardous waste disposal drop-off will be held this weekend, September 15th, 16th, and 17th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at our Sandy Lane Public Works facility. The beach and ongoing other special projects, crews continue to inspect and maintain the drainage ways throughout the town. The ditches and catch basins are cleaned as necessary and on schedule. Beach refuse and recycling services are on the summer schedule. Townwide mosquito spraying is ongoing and will be performed twice a week. And crews are continuing to mowing and maintaining the ditch lines. Public Works assisted and answered 302 incoming calls. 142 of those calls were dealt with sanitation questions. 28 dealt with street-related issues, drainage, streetlights, encroachment permits, driveways, etc. 53 were internal calls dealing with department or personnel topics. 11 were personally directed to the Public Works Director. 4 dealt with the grounds and park crew, and 64 calls dealt with vendors and miscellaneous questions from other departments and telemarketers. So even they're not immune. And that is the report submitted by Public Works. So next up is the Police Department with Chief Hoffman.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and council and citizens. I have I'll go through a quick report of June, July, and August for you, the police department's monthly activities. In June of 2023, we had a 13.48% decrease in calls for service from June of 22. Arrest and citation data between 22 and 23 showed a 17.86% increase. In the month of June, we answered 2,677 calls for service that resulted in 36 custodial arrests, 439 citations, 20 criminal arrest warrants. 10 of those were related to drug possession or distribution. We transported 24 prisoners to J. Ruby Long Detention Center and 12 prisoners to the Myrtle Beach Police Department Detention Center. Our officers issued 203 written warnings in the month of June in lieu of traffic violations or citations. Some notable events in the month of June: Surfside Beach Rotary Club hosted their annual event to recognize public safety personnel. At this year's event, I recognized Captain Aaron Miller for his 25 years of service to the citizens of Surfside Beach. Also in the month of June, I graduated from the Command College of South Carolina at Anderson University. It was an 18-month leadership program that I completed there. Also, bragging on one of our officers, Corporal Matthew Carl, completed his master's degree in criminal justice from Liberty University in the month of June. As you know, Town Council allotted the police department an additional position in the last budget to provide a training and compliance officer to the police department. We have recruited that person. His name is Bill Mickle, William Bill Mickle. He is known as Sergeant Mickle now, and he's working with the command staff to modernize the department's training protocols and ensure compliance with our federal and state standards. Just a couple of things about him. Sergeant Mickle has over 33 years of law enforcement and military experience. He served in the United States Marine Corps from 1989 to 1993, deployed to Desert Storm. He was employed in Southern California as a special agent with the U.S. Department of Justice and Treasury, now known as Homeland Security. He was handling investigations and organized crime, human trafficking investigations there. In 2002, he transferred to the U.S. Forest Service, law enforcement investigations, working in patrol and criminal investigations in Oregon, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. During his time with the Forest Service, he held positions of law enforcement officer, special agent, senior special agent, tactical commander, incident commander, acting assistant special agent in charge of the Forestry Service, and acting assistant director of the Forestry Service. He retired from the agency headquarters in Washington, D.C. He moved his family to Horry County, worked for Myrtle Beach Police Department for a short time before we were able to grab him and recruit him down here. He holds state and federal instructor certifications in firearms, patrol rifles, specific skills, use of force, non-lethal weapons, drug enforcement, and active shooter instructor. He's also been an instructor at the International Law Enforcement Academy in Europe and taught law enforcement courses in Southeast Asia. I would say we're very lucky to have him here as our training sergeant, and we look forward to seeing what he can help us achieve here in the Surfside Beach Police Department.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
that position was state mandated but not funded, is that correct?
It's the mandates, there were a lot of state mandates that were unfunded. The position itself was not a state mandate, but the requirements that the position fills now are mandated.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
In the month of July of this year, the police department had a 27.67 decrease in calls for service from July of 2022. Arrest and citation data between last year and this year showed a 6.07% decrease. In the month of July, we answered 2,909 calls for service, resulting in 37 custodial arrests, 401 citations, 8 criminal arrest warrants. 2 of those were for drug possession or distribution. We transported 17 prisoners to the J. Reuben Long Detention Center and 17 prisoners to the Myrtle Beach Police Department Detention Center. Our officers issued 261 warnings in the month of July in lieu of uniform traffic citations. A couple of notable events on July 28th of this year. The WBTW recognized our police officer, Sato Corman, as their First Responder Friday series. He did a really great interview if you didn't get a chance to see it, bragging about how much he enjoys working for the Surfside Beach community. We picked up Officer Corman when his family moved here from New York. Corporal Robert Dale was nominated as Officer of the Month for July to be recognized by the Community Law Enforcement Appreciation Committee. And Lieutenant Houck and Investigator Kehoe attended a career day event for elementary school-age children at the Surfside Beach Library. There was some great pictures from that as well. In the month of August, we had a 23.19% decrease in calls for service from August of last year, and arrest and citation data showed a 42.91% decrease in activity there. In the month of August, we answered 2,487 calls for service, resulting in 29 custodial arrests, 273 citations, and 16 criminal arrest warrants. 11 of those were for drug possession and distribution. We transported 26 prisoners to J. Reuben Long Detention Center and 1 prisoner to the Myrtle Beach Police Department Detention Center. And our officers issued 280 written warnings in lieu of traffic citations. A couple of notable events. The City of Myrtle Beach and the Myrtle Beach Police Department, due to staffing issues, terminated our mutual aid agreement with us and other neighboring jurisdictions where they provided our temporary inmate housing after we closed the jail in 2019. So at this time, our personnel are arresting every person that they arrest to J. Reuben Long Detention Center, which, as you know, is quite a ways away. It's causing officers to be out of town for approximately 1 to 3 hours, depending on traffic and getting through processing out there. At this time, I am working with Administrator Vincent to come up with some solutions and some options to bring to council in the near future to try to alleviate that. A ceremony was held on August 25th at the Civic Center to honor 2 police department employees. Investigator Colleen Kehoe was promoted to the rank of police sergeant, and we graduated Police Officer William Thomas Weaver from the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy. He received his Class 1 law enforcement certification on that day. The recent hurricane gave us an opportunity to prepare for our emergency operations. We appreciate the partnership with Chief Carter and the fire department to sort of dust off our emergency operations planning so that we can be prepared if we do have a catastrophic event. The Surfside Beach Police Department is honored to accept the donation of a brand new beach wheelchair from retired Police Lieutenant Dennis Murphy of Salem, Virginia. You may have seen the news pick this up as well as it was on our Facebook page. Mr. Murphy purchased a wheelchair for his wife, Kathy Murphy, to bring her to the beach. Sadly, Mrs. Murphy passed away in July after a battle with Parkinson's disease and Lewy body dementia and did not get to use the chair. Mr. Murphy knew that the Surfside Beach Police Department loans these chairs for free and wanted to support our program in memory of his wife. So we were appreciative of that donation to the police department and support our beach wheelchair program, which is very popular. So I breezed through that because the administrator threatened me. I hope I met your time requirements, sir. So I went through it really quickly. I know you've had a chance to look it over, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Kenny, I noticed all 3 months of Joy that you decreasing calls. I find that interesting when you're hearing about more everywhere else.
Right.
So, any comments about that?
It's tough to say. It could have a little bit to do with the fact that we're been a little short-staffed through the summer as well. So officer-initiated activities do fall into those categories. So it's possible those numbers are down just a little bit because we were down in staffing over the course of the summer. I suspect it will rebound once we get back up to full staff.
Mr. Mayor. Kenny, you didn't touch on cameras. I was curious, how's the cameras working that you've got, and how's the tag reader and stuff like that, helping you a lot?
Thanks for asking. The camera system is doing really well. HTC completed the last expansion of the camera system. So I think we're up to 77 cameras now in the R3 area. And we are currently working with them to prepare the project of moving forward in this current budget year for the cameras that will be expanded into your public parks and up to the highway as well. So we are working on that right now, but it's going really well. The Flock license plate reader system continues to be a huge success. We are solving crimes with those, and they are proving to be very effective.
Chief, speaking of the cameras, what's the status of the redesign that we were entertaining for the camera system on the pier itself?
Director Adair is actually managing that, so I don't know that I can give you a really good answer on that right now. I don't know if the administrator may have a little bit of information.
Yeah, we've met with HTC on site along with the police department and John Adair. So I believe first time it was proposed some 52 cameras, and now we're down to 20. So we have a quote from HTC. Now we're putting out informal bids for contractors to put in the conduit and electrical. So we have 2 quotes waiting on the 3rd.
Okay.
So that might be at the next council meeting.
Okay, great, thank you.
Good.
Anything else?
May I ask one question? You were converting all your cars over to a single system. Has that been completed?
Yes, it has. Thank you very much for asking that too. That was the mobile data in the cars.
The name.
It went off smooth. It was great. It's doing a great job. It's helping us with functionality in the field. Timing was great with the discontinuation of the other services, and we're finding that we're going to be able to start cutting off some other things that'll provide some savings to the taxpayer as we move forward with some other IT advancements there too. So we'll be able to discontinue some other recurring costs. But the deployment was smooth, and officers reporting in the field that it's doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Next up is the Planning, Building, and Zoning Department with Director Adair.
Good evening, council and citizens. Excuse me. The department has been extremely busy with permits, inquiries, and meeting with potential and new developers in town. We've issued 369 permits in the last 3 months with multiple reviews of surveys, plan reviews, and inspections. Just a reminder, I know anyone that has social media has seen where Adventure Golf has announced that they'll be closing, which is right, the only putt-putt golf in town. They will be demolishing the existing golf. It's an old, aged putt-putt center, and they're rebuilding a new golf course with a larger arcade. So we're not going to lose that putt-putt. We're just going to get a more advanced version of it. Mr. Benson had mentioned that we have our new hires, and we're pretty happy to have both on board. The Planning Commission and staff continue to work with the comprehensive planning consultant, Stewart, to develop a comprehensive plan. Because of the additional requested meetings by the Planning Commission and Stewart, the plan is scheduled to have a public open house in October and the review and plan adoption in November. We had first hope to have the final adoption in October, but the additional meetings for the Planning Commission has proven to be very, it was needed, and it's certainly appreciated by Stewart. You have the 3 June, July, and August permits. inspections and the permit fees, and you can see some of the permit fees went down, some of the inspections have also went down, but the inspections are not, does not include any inspections that they have performed on the pier. Those are just general inspections for residential and commercial properties. You have the number of permits per year, and you can see those are going pretty steady, except for July. July did fall, which generally does in that, except for last year. Our prediction of our estimates of the permit fees for this year, I think they'll certainly hold true. We have 3 new single-family residents in review now, so that's hadn't slowed down. And the inspections and the number of trees, the trees actually have come down in the last few months, which is a good thing. You have the report in front of you. Have any questions? I'll be glad to answer those.
Questions? Nope.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is a report for the fire department with Deputy Chief Carter as the interim fire chief.
Good evening, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Mr. Vincent, staff, and most of all our citizens and business leaders. First off, I wasn't here in August when y'all voted me in as the interim fire chief. I want to thank you, the town council, for the faith and the trust in me to step into this position. This is a very big position for the life safety of our citizens, our staff, and our visitors to our great town. Thank you very much. Second, thank you to Mr. Vincent, the directors and the staff for a great job here with our storm that just passed by last week. Great teamwork with all of us, and it shows Team Surfside is good and strong. First on the report is the incidents. So far for this year, we're looking at 2023. Our call load is up 35% from 434 calls. I'm correct. 802 calls in 2022. 962 calls. That's up 20%. I apologize. Just in the month of August, we're looking at an increase of 42%, 103 to 146 calls in 2023. With that being said, so far this year, we're looking at 587 calls in town, 375 calls out of town. That's from January 1 to August 31st. Just for the month of August, we're looking at 46 calls in town and 100 calls out of town. Any questions? Any questions on that? Okay. Since August 14th, I've had meetings with Mr. Vincent on the expectations as the intern chief for the department. We're working on and updating our audit tracking document to make sure we stay on track with everything that we've got stationed for the rest of the year in this fiscal year. We've been working with other department and operations with the shift captains. We're working on updating the emergency operations plan with other town directors, working with Heritage for the fire department network and upgrades. Also working with Erie County E911 on our calls and responses. Also, we're working with Captain Kelly in reference to the hiring eligibility list. It's not we're not filling positions, we're just doing a list of eligible candidates. And meeting with Mr. Vincent and the fire marshal with a new inspection program, which we'll talk at, I think more so in the next meeting. And our PERVIS system is actually up and running within the fire department. On the next page, you'll see some bullets in there, some operational that the shift personnel have been completing over the last couple of months. Any questions on any of the operations? On the third page, you'll see the fire inspections conducted in the month of August. 57 inspections. Number of violations are 228, with 173 of those being corrected violations to this point. That'd be it. Any questions on anything?
Sorry.
Thank you, Larry. Anybody? No?
Stacy, have we had anything at all in Surfside as far as, I need to dispatch it, major fires or anything at all?
The only thing we've had here recently is a gas leak. We've got a lot of fire alarms and so forth. no structure fires, or nothing of that nature at this point in time. But also a majority of our calls are going to be medical side.
Right.
And so forth with that.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief.
Thank you,
Thank
Larry.
you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the final monthly report is from the Communications Coordinator, Ms. Malden.
Good evening, everyone. This is an events summary for you first, and then we're going to go into communications. So the weekly music in the park continues through Sunday, October 1st, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Attendance gladly has been approximately, give or take, each week. I'm averaging at about 100 folks per week showing up to that. And the food truck that we have there, the community is actually liking having food there. The Celebrate Surfside Beach Festival is Saturday, September 12th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There's going to be live music performed by the guys. There's going to be food, children's activities, vendors, and a fashion show, with those proceeds from that event going to Help for Kids and Backpack Buddies. The Family Festival is scheduled for October the 7th, 10 to 4. The vendor space is crazily sold out. I can't even believe it. It's pretty awesome. And there's a waiting list that we have that is equally as long as the number of vendors that we're having. So people love the Family Festival. If Birds Could Fly and Josh Brannon Band have been scheduled to perform live music there. There's going to be a kids zone near the library, and we have 20 food vendors and 80 arts and crafts vendors. A trolley will provide transportation from various points in the town that I will post on social media and on the website. And I hope to see you all there at the Family Festival. A pier dedication is scheduled in late September, and the date will be decided shortly. The Rod Run Car Show, Champion Autism Network, Best of the Beach Balls Meatball Challenge, and Halloween Golf Cart Parade is scheduled for October the 28th. That's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. to enjoy all of those festivities. Next up, we have communications communications updates for you guys, but do you have any questions with the event so far? Okay. We are so excited to announce that our town merchandise is in process. We are ordering the new town shirts with the depiction of the new pier, and it is so really cool. And we're also going to be offering sweatshirts this year, so pretty exciting news there. I continue to work closely with the Myrtle Beach Chamber of Commerce on all events and communications. The Pier Village area campaign is in progress as we speak. I also continue to work on upgrades to the visitsurfsidebeach.com website and the surfsidebeach.org website. We are working on communications and arrangements for multiple advertisements, various newspapers and iHeart radio stations. Here's what I'll say. I am sure that you have all seen that our Facebook post and our creation of reels that we started to add into there is bringing a lot of excitement to our social media category. So that's pretty cool. And most recently, the surfing reels that has been, produced, those have been, they've almost earned us almost 800 additional people following our page. So it's taken off pretty well. That's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just have one question. Since we had the discussion about designating Pier Village, it was discovered that, the Facebook page of Pier Village actually takes you to a town in New Jersey. And that piervillage.com also takes you to, the town in New Jersey. And that we also have a Pier Village at Pawleys Island. So have we considered that maybe this is not the most unique designator for our area and maybe pull back on that marketing campaign at this time and come up with something else?
Right, and absolutely, we are weighing our options at this point, and that's why I was saying area, because that's what we originally agreed upon as a group, as the Pier Village. But It's the area is what I'm referring to, but yeah, there's gonna be a lot of discussion about that very soon.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I think we were led to believe that we had the domain name, and here we find out that it was more of a GoDaddy page, not really a .com domain name. So,
Okay.
you know, a little bit of Google searching kind of sent you into New Jersey pretty much every time you came up with a Pier Village search, so.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, we at least have to say Surfside Beach Pier Village or
Right.
something.
Oh, yes.
But then it kind of loses its, you know, value of something quick and identifiable for the town.
I understand. Yes, there is a lot of conversation gonna be had around that. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Anything else?
I was just gonna say that Surfside Beach Family Beach, Surfside Beach Family Pier, I mean, they go hand in hand. And instead of rewriting the directions to everybody in this little small town, I don't think anybody get lost on the pier. So, kind of keep that in mind.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha.
Okay, moving on to the business section, I need a motion to bring ordinance 23-0959 to the table for discussion and consideration of second reading.
I guess I would like to have the second reading of ordinance 23-0959, ordinance amending the town of Surfside Beach zoning map to rezone land located at 910 Highway 17 South. And the parcel number is S46200000926 and 462-050-20045 from amusement plan development to highway commercial.
Second.
Okay, this passed unanimously by the planning commission. And it also passed unanimously for first reading last time. So you just want to introduce what we're doing and why, and we'll just move on quickly.
Yes, ma'am. Nothing has changed since the first request, and as Ms. Kinkin said, it did pass unanimously. I did want to mention that Mr. Kinkin had mentioned maybe a concern with the traffic light. I did talk to the Public Works Director afterwards, and he said that he could certainly contact DOT and have them look at that as well.
Okay.
But nothing has changed on the request. It's still set to be separated into smaller lots and made into general commercial.
Any other questions, comments? Sherry?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Crickwell.
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mrs. Keating.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now I need a motion to bring to the table ordinance number 23-0960 for first reading of certain amendments to chapter 9 and chapter 12.
Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion for ordinance 23-0960, an ordinance of the town of Surfside Beach to amend certain sections of chapter 9, motor vehicles and traffic, and chapter 12, street, sidewalk, beaches, and other public places of the code of ordinance of the town of Surfside Beach, South Carolina.
Second that.
Okay. Okay, Tabitha, you want to introduce what we're doing here?
Yes, so, well, first of all, I'm presenting two resolutions for charity events. So the first one, which is what we're talking about right now, we are asking the town council to waive the parking fees for these three annual charity events. The Guy Daniel Surf Off event, Surf Dreams Foundation surf events, those are monthly, and the Adaptive Surf Project event. Part 1. And then section 916A10, we are asking for the town administrator to be given approval to issue parking permits to those providing town services for our town sponsored events. And as it stands now, council has approved those.
Okay, so just to be clear, the original ordinance stated that the annual Guy Daniel Surf Off event would be issued parking permits for free parking at all pay to park areas. and it went on further to say, subject to town council approval. So there was a bit of a redundancy there because council's approving the ordinance. We don't need to approve it again every year. So the intent here was to just take out that redundant approval. But then the other charitable surf events that are conducted in town, we thought we should add as well. However, I thank the chairman of the parking committee for highlighting that it says all parking areas, which clearly it should not. So I think for our second reading, that is a bit of the current ordinance that needs to change, because even though it currently states all pay to park areas, we have an opportunity to correct that and it should do so.
Okay.
And just to be clear, again, the addition of section 91610 is a new paragraph to allow the town administrators some latitude to offer free parking permits for those vendors providing a service to the town for town-sponsored events, not for third-party events.
Correct.
Okay, so I think I will offer an amended motion to accept ordinance 23-0960 with the modification of excluding the pier parking lot and the 4th Avenue North pay to park areas as ineligible for the free parking permits in both 6 and 10.
Okay.
So with that modification, I would accept ordinance 23-960 for first reading.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to also take Harry's other suggestion that we don't allow all, because when Guy Daniels, it's at 13th South, that shouldn't allow you to park at 4th North for free. So it should be limited in its scope to where the event is. I mean, maybe not just that lot, but like Harry suggested,
Within a 5-block
area or whatever. And I don't know how you would word that, but I'm sure we could word it some way to make it work.
Yes, sir. And if I may, the parking permits are actually issued to these participants.
Right.
So we actually give out those parking permits. So-
Right, but you don't really tell them.
But we could.
Right now, it says they can park anywhere with that permit.
Right. I could definitely put on there what lots you're allowed to park at. Absolutely.
Yeah, we could make this as specified in the parking permit.
Yeah.
So this doesn't get complicated,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then take care of that on an individual basis when the permits are
And I would put
prepared.
in the town administrator to have the authority to, pencil in certain things that you see fit accordingly to where they need to park. If it's gonna be at 16th Avenue, then use that in. If it's gonna be in the middle of the town, use the Yopon, use the Pine Woods parking lot. So.
Yeah, so the motion on the table is to accept for first reading ordinance 23-0960 as amended for the first reading. Do I have a second for that?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Now, I would not consider this a significant change to force it back to first reading unless somebody disagrees with that this revision would be, acceptable to move on to second reading at our next meeting. Is everybody
I agree to that.
okay with that? Okay. All right, well, Sherry, can we vote on that, please?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklo,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mrs. Keating.
Yes. Okay, the next item of business is the resolution number 23-0163. I need a motion to bring it to the table for approval of
Mr. Mayor.
the Celebrate Surfside event, sorry.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, the resolution 23-0163, resolution Town of Surfside Beach to provide council approval as required by chapter 12 by Tabitha. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so for this one, we are asking town council to waive the town service fees for the Celebrate Surfside Beach Festival as their proceeds go to charity, again, Help for Kids and Backpack Buddies. And then we are also asking that town council allow items placed on the sidewalks as did last year for the event by suspending that ordinance for this particular event.
Yeah, and I think the, part of the other ordinance that maybe we missed, it's probably on the back of the page. There's also a section in chapter 12 that allows our town fees to be waived if a third party is performing or conducting an event on public property that has a charitable beneficiary. And that ordinance, as it states now, is based on a recommendation of the administrator as approved by council.
Right.
Well, the fees in most of these events are very minimal. You know, they're usually less than $1,000, which is well within the delegated authority of the administrator. So it was felt as part of the ordinance change that we would remove the additional town council approval. But since we're not going to get through the second reading of that ordinance, we need to still provide that approval for the Celebrate Surfside event that is happening this weekend.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
you know, I think the other portion of it, it does stipulate that you can place things on the sidewalks, you know, relative if you have a permit. Well, they will have a permit because, you know, it's the special event permit. So
Right.
that will be where we can designate they're authorized to put their wares out on the sidewalk on Surfside Drive.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second, correct? Any other discussion on that? Questions, what we're doing, why we're doing it?
I think we ought to make Harry in charge of the weather for all our special events.
Yeah,
Have you seen the weather report for this week?
I have. So exciting.
Okay, Sherry,
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Tristan, do you have a comment?
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckhoff,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mrs. Keating.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the last item under business is the discussion for the American Rescue Fund. There has been some ongoing discussion that, you know, we are quickly running out of time, that the government requires us to declare the allocation of the funds we received by 2024, and that the spending of those funds has to be completed and documented by 2026. There has been ongoing discussion for the last couple of years with previous council and this council that some of these funds be used for building the council chambers over across the street at the new town hall. That was approved in the last budget, in the 2022-2023 budget cycle. And that also they be used to paying down the Pier municipal bond debt, since that bond was issued with the intention of paying it off on its early call date. So part of what we want to know before we finalize the alternatives for the allocations is, will the US government entertain our ability to hold the funds through December of 28 to pay off the balance of the Pier bond that will become due on the early call date? If they say no, then, you know, we then have to appeal back to the state and find out, can we hold possibly hospitality tax funds in reserves toward the December 28th payoff date? And if that answer is no, then, you know, it's a whole nother scenario of how we reach the end game that we've been planning on since 2018. So, you know, there's also other options that have been recommended or mentioned, and that is, using it for construction of, a new town hall on this side of the highway, possibly an expansion of the fire department, possibly an emergency operations center for the fire department, and a few other things. None of which has been approved. None of which have been fully vetted as to what those might cost. We do have Creech and Associates doing an engineering study on what that may cost, including some renovations to the existing town hall that some may feel are necessary. So there's multiple opinions, multiple uses of these funds. Right now, we carry a balance of about 2.2 million being held in our American Rescue Fund account that we will ultimately need to allocate by 2024 to some purpose that is also authorized by the program. They're not just free money to be used for any purpose. So I think we're still waiting for some of that final options that we may or may not have for the use of the funds if we want to hold them until 2028. Mr. Stamy?
Yes, ma'am. This discussion has been going on for a while about this money, and this money has been given to the town by the federal government. It's to use as a project. One project is what it's really the base use of it. We have to November of 24 to make a decision. In that time, we have to make a decision what we do with that money, what we're going to allocate that money for. We've always had a plan for the pier. It's always been a budget from day one set aside for the money to pay for that pier. We didn't have the rescue money at that time. Why would we want to allocate money from a rescue fund to pay off the pier that we can't actually pay on until 28? We have a loan right now of 2% interest. Is what the interest on the money that we borrowed. At that rate, we cannot fund not a town hall, a new courthouse, and some additional to the police department, whatever has to be done. And I ain't sure about that. We are waiting on Creech and Associates to get back with us to that. We keep coming up with, use this money to pay the pier. Use this money to pay the pier. Why would we want to go and use money that is drawing interest, sitting there, that we don't have to allocate for nothing until 24? We need a town hall. I mean, not a town hall, a courthouse and a police department. This town needs. And our police department, believe me, it's overcrowded. It's packed to the seams down here. They ain't got room because they've run them out of this building that is not fit for you and me to be in. Believe it or not, this building was actually condemned and we took people out of it because of the mold, the rotten in the roofs ain't good on it, which people don't understand. We've got to do something. We've got to have money to do that. This $2.5 million is sitting there drawing probably $5,000 a month interest, and it's sitting there. So I think that we ought to leave this money alone until we have a full-blown plan to what we want to do to it, whether we want to spend it for a new court system, a new chambers, police department, what we want to do with it. Instead of every time that we want to have a discussion, it's use it for the pier, pay on the pier. We have a plan, y'all. It was a plan that came out when they built this pier, how to pay for that pier. We've got a plan. They have a plan. They've had it for years. So why this keeps coming up on our docket to bring it to a vote on. And I'm assuming tonight, the reason it isn't being voted on is because it's going to wind up in a tie, more than likely, if we vote on this, and it's a dead subject. The only reason some people want to do away with it is because they have not enough people here to vote. Believe me, got a lot to do with it. And in saying that, I hope the public knows how I feel about this. We need, believe me, we need a new courthouse. Our court system cannot, we have too many people in this room when they have court. We have you sitting in here, me sitting in here, in a building that's got mold in it, that is not fit for us to be in. So this money would go a long way in building something like that. We don't have to borrow the money, which is at 5.5 or 6% interest on it right now. If we borrow it, which is costing us a whole lot more than the 2% we're paying on the loan that we owe for the pier. So that's where I'm at on this, and I hope that the public knows. I hope they understand why I'm so dedicated to try to hold on to this money until we can get a plan of what it's going to cost to build a new building here. It don't have to be nothing elaborate, nothing expensive, but we need it for, again, for your safety and my safety.
Anyone else?
Mayor, I'm looking at the exhibit for paying back the bond. And if we don't pay it back in 2028, it'll cost the town an extra $192,000 in interest. If we went out today and borrowed $2.2 million to replace this, because we do need to expand our police department, and build a courtroom, council chamber, it would, that would cost us $608,000 in interest over a 10-year, a 5% loan for 10 years. The interest is $608,000. I got that from a banker this afternoon. So, and 5% is cheap today's money. Not everybody can get that. So, I think that's numbers that we need to think about, because what we're waiting for, or what I'm waiting for, I can't speak for everybody. I want to hear what Creech has to say. And they're supposed to come back October and come back in November with some numbers. So that's, hopefully once we have that, we can make a decision on how to best use this American Rescue Funds. So that's all I got to say.
Okay, and again, this was motion to remove from the agenda because there's so much information that we do not have at hand to move forward with a discussion and a decision. So I think moving on to the second round of public comments. These are.
I'd like to say something else on that, Cynthia. If we could we not set up a separate meeting to discuss this instead of having it put on the agenda and have it discussed just set up a meeting for council to discuss? I mean, it can be open session or whatever it's going to be. But can we not just set up something instead of bringing it to council every time somebody wants to bring it to council?
We can establish a working session, public meeting, yes.
Do you not think that would be a good idea?
Yeah, I think, again, once you get all the information, maybe by the end of October, 1st of November, then you'll know your direction.
I think we have to wait till the.
Right.
Yeah, we need to understand what our options are.
We need Creech to move forward.
Yeah, and they are.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to public comments. These are public comments about the general operations and business of the town. Seeing some of our candidates for the positions coming open in November for the mayor's seat and 3 council seats, I would invite those candidates to come up and introduce themselves if they so choose. Otherwise, it's open for any other public comments that you may have.
Thanks for the invitation. I'm Rob Kraus. Council knows me. For those of you who don't, I've been the, the chairman for the Pier Committee the last close to 2 years. I'm running for mayor, so I'll be out looking to see most of you people, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Cindy. My name is Skip Walls. My wife and I have been here for about 3 years, just a short time. Unfortunately, we spent 2.5 years renovating our home. So haven't been able to be, well, I have been very involved in business, but I've been listening to the town council meetings, attending when I could, coming to some of the committee meetings when I could. I come to you all, I am running for council because I believe that I can be of a great asset to the current council and the environment that we're in right now. I come to you with 35 years of experience in management of hospitality and tourism. So I understand the position that we're in right now with having created this big attraction. I've worked with resorts like the Greenbrier, the Homestead, Colonial Williamsburg, Callaway Gardens, Opryland Hotel in Nashville. I also started my own company and went public, went international. So I understand a little bit about business financing. And I have cards. I will be coming out to see you. I would love to talk to you all about your issues with the town and discuss any solutions that you might have in mind and what I think. I would love to visit with people. So I have a Facebook page, reach out. My address is on there, my phone number is on there. Thank you very much. I'll look forward to meeting with you.
I'm Harry Coleman. I own property here for the last 20 years. I've been a resident, full-time resident for 15 years. And just about from day one, I've been heavily active in this community. I attend at least 90% of council meetings and special meetings. I've been on multiple committees. I've been on the stormwater committee. I've been on the recreation committee when they had it. I've been on the parking committee twice after we got fired one time. I've been a water tester. I've been a Little League, a Dixie League coach. I love this town. I come from New York City and I don't want to anywhere near it. The thing I love about this town is the small town. There's a number of things I've done. I get up all the time and speak. Some people don't like that. I just believe in what I believe and I'm not afraid to get up and speak about it. And even if it does, I don't have any dog in the fight, I will still get up and I still will speak for the people who are afraid to get up. That's my little political speech. I have something I'd also like to speak on about, which Sabrina brought up a little bit. The comprehensive plan, planning and zoning are in the process of approving things for the comprehensive plan. Now, I believe it's every 10 years they have to change it, and every 5 years they review it. So they're changing it now, they're updating it. 10 years ago, in the plan, they had mixed use. Now, maybe the people in the town don't care about mixed use. I did, because they were gonna put mixed use, like mini market commons, down Surfside Drive. Now, you can see that the only curb parking in this neighborhood, in this town, is on Surfside Drive. So the council and the administrator at the time decided that's what they were gonna do. So they put the infrastructure there, spent $300,000 to do it, and then proposed to have this mini market common. Well, they never went to anybody in the town and said they're gonna do it, especially the people who lived in the immediate area. So what did I do? I'm a pain in the neck sometimes. I got flyers and I went to every one of those houses that bought it, like a block in each direction, because it was going to affect them. Well, that's not on the comprehensive plan anymore. That's been taken out. But they do have mixed use areas. Now, it stretches from Melody to 17th North between Popular and Sandy Lane. I think it's Azalea on the back, on the other side. Mixed use. Now, so what mixed use is? Mixed uses, they put a store on the bottom and then they put apartments on the top. Well, I rallied the troops a few months ago when they wanted to put that apartment building in a water park. I don't know if some of you were there, but the planning commission meeting, there were people packed in here, and there were people, literally, the parking lot was packed. So I don't know if the people in the town want this, but I think it's really, really important. Not necessarily it's gonna happen, but it could happen. And I think the people in this town have a right to know what's happening before we decide to do stuff. So I personally, I would send a postcard to everybody and tell them, listen, you know what? Something big is happening. Something who could really, really change this town. And I think that needs to be done. So that's my little spiel about that. I don't want it to change. I mean, things could be tweaked in this town. This is a great, great town. That's why people come here. That's why it's called a family beach. We're not getting big. Hopefully we'll never have a parking lot here. Keep it the way it is. And let's stop progress a little bit. You could tweak a little bit, but keep it nice. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Public comment.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make one public, Gary White, I heard about the Pier Village before, and I'm hearing that word again. People I've talked to do not want it to be Pier Village. They do not want it to be village. It's not a village. So totally against that. I did see something on the website that said Pier Village. I looked at it, and it got a Google map going up down to the south end. And I said, it doesn't make any sense. I just want people to be aware that a lot of people are not for calling that Pier Village. Maybe call it, well, it's supposed to be the entertainment. That's what we did, district, entertainment district. So I just wanted to mention that, and let's see. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, considering that we may convene an executive session, I'll call for town council comments, and starting with Councilman Drake, please.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and tuning in tonight and being patient as we went through all this stuff. To the finances as far as the pier versus the big Taj Mahal fire and all this other stuff, police department stuff, I think we have to be fiscally responsible with the money. I think we have to be very responsible with the fact that we have a very large debt of the pier that we got money set aside to pay off. And I think that's something that we should do. Also, if you start a new project, then you know what you got to pay off. You know what that is. People think second mortgages are great. I think reverse mortgages are great until somebody's got to pay that bill one day. I don't believe that's something that we need to get involved in Surfside Beach. We need to pay our bills as we go. But we'll discuss that in our next meeting. But thank y'all very much for coming out.
Mr. Kinkin.
Yes, I'm glad to see this many people here. Nice to put faces and names who are running. I appreciate the directors giving us an update, because we do live in a good. It's nice that we're led by a lot of very professional town. It's kept clean. It's well run. We're well protected. There's just so many things to be grateful for. So, and also the people that are listening in, I hope they've understood what was going on, because sometimes it goes in and out and they can't hear us. But yeah, we're in a good place. And thank you all for coming, and God bless you.
Mr. Kirkland.
Well, I'll keep my comments short as normal. Thanks to everyone that called in and everyone that showed up. Thanks to everyone that's running. I would list everybody's name, but I'm afraid I might forget some because not all of them are here tonight. But go out on the web or the Facebook page and see who's running, and hopefully you'll meet them all and make your decisions, and good luck to them all. Yeah, good night.
Mr. Stamey?
Thanks for everybody coming. I want to thank our great staff that we have here in town for all y'all do. I appreciate it. And I do want y'all to know that we ain't asking to build a Taj Mahal police department or a fire department, town hall or town chambers. I ain't what I'm asking town to do. I'm asking to get something that's safe for us to be in. That's all I'm asking. We don't have to have the Taj Mahal of anything. We are a small town. We like to keep it small. In saying that, there's some people who thinks debt's bad. Debt is bad. I agree with them. Debt is bad. But you got to make a sensible decision when you make that decision. If you have a debt, would you rather be paying 2% interest or 6% interest? Just think about it. On $2 million or $3 million, it don't matter what it is. Would you rather be paying 2% or 6%? I personally would rather pay 2%, but that's me. In saying that, I'd love to see more of our candidates at our town council meetings. I'm glad to see the ones that are here tonight, and I appreciate the comments y'all have made. All I can tell you, you've got a long road ahead of you. Whatever you do, going up and down steps ain't easy. You'll meet a lot of dogs. This town's full of little folks. If they're neighbors. I love dogs. I love animals, but they're full of it. With saying that, all of you get out there and do what's best to do, and hope to see you back in 2 weeks.
Mr. Holder?
Hello, it's great to see you all here tonight. I'm one of the people that's running for election also. I'm running for re-election for this year after 4 years of service. And I will be out there meeting the dogs. I will be out knocking on doors and doing that. But I'm looking forward to it. But I thank you for your participation and everything and being here tonight. Y'all have a good day.
Yeah, like everybody else, I appreciate the people that come out to the meetings and the people that call in to listen and taking an interest in where the town is headed and what it takes to accomplish certain things within the town. You hear a lot of the rumblings if you pay attention to social media and, several of the nonsense that can be posted out there. That, everybody has their own personal agendas and one person is driving something or not. But you need to realize that council acts as a whole. No one individual has any additional power than anybody else. There are always differing opinions. Some, just like in business or in any other aspect of your life, there's people that are driven by data and information. There's people that are driven by emotion and visionary purposes. There's people that are driven by other, internal experiences, and they draw on those to make their decisions. Not everybody is going to agree. There's no reason to disparage another just because they may have a different perspective, a different life experience, a different vision for where things should go. So, over 2 years ago, council had met and approved and set aside funding to build a new council chambers. That's why we purchased the rear lot behind the existing town hall, and we purchased a portion of the side lot from the furniture store. We purchased those as part of the parcel so that we could build that council chamber over there, and we had the money set aside at that time to do it. But for whatever reason, that was not fully embraced by staff or unanimously by council, I would say at the time probably, that was never pursued. So we would have been long out of this facility had we proceeded with the vote of council as we had it in October of '21. Again, as I mentioned, we set aside the American Rescue Funds in the last budget to encourage, to get that project moving so we could build that council chamber court area next to the new town hall. But that seemed to have no effect. So it's very difficult to make accomplishments when you have a vote of council and yet it's still ignored. So, I look forward to meeting all the other candidates and possibly having some discussions about what does it mean to be on council and what is the real role of council. We don't run the town. We set policy, we set staffing decisions, we set a budget. That's really all we do. We don't run the town. That's what staff is for. So, it's a rude awakening, and I'm sure it'll be quite an education for some. Maybe not as much for others, but it's a challenge, but it can be rewarding as long as you overlook the keyboard warriors and those that are just out to destroy you for the sake of destroying you. But with that, I want to thank everybody for coming again. Thank you for all the messages and the well wishes with my campaign for to be your next mayor that I have received already. And I'm sure we'll all be hearing more from each other in the very near future. So thank you very much. And with that, the last item on the agenda is the possibility of an executive session. So I need a motion to enter executive session, please.
Ms. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn from our regular meeting and enter executive session pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-4-70A1, discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee concerning a finance director.
Second.
Any discussion? Sherry?
Mr. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Holder,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklo,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mrs. Keating.
Yes. Okay, with that, this public session is adjourned for now. We will reconvene with any actions to be taken as a result of the